it's Leslie, your core companion. So let's talk about hamstrings today. Typically, hamstring exercises, when we look at a lot of hamstring exercises, especially like in the Barre class, let's place the ball behind and pulse and pulse and pulse. Now, imagine you're doing that movement for 2 minutes or so. How well is your knee extend? Every time I see that done, people come out of class and they're like, oh my God, my hamstrings. Our hamstrings, if we're going to talk functionality here, slow down the acceleration of us moving forward in gait. So, for example, every time our heel enters into the ground, that's our calcaneus, right? And gravity is starting to take me forward. So if you're to put your heel down on the ground, and then as you start to move forward, the next joint is that subtalar joint. As you start to move forward, that subtalar joint locks up. So in other words, my foot now becomes a stable surface, or my foot adapts to a stable surface, right? And as I start to move forward and I push off my toes, all right, at one point in time, when I'm walking, am I walking kicking myself in the butt? Never. We never are moving, kicking ourselves in the rear. If that be the case, we think of the hamstring as the only thing that it does is flexes the knee. In gait, as I'm moving forward, the calf and the hamstring have a relationship. So as I start to move forward, what is pulling my knee back into extension? My hips extended and I'm moving forward. Pause here. What do you feel? You're going to feel your hamstring and you're going to feel your calf say, okay, knee, I'm going to pull you back into extension so you can propel forward. But yet so many, like even the machines in the gyms, shorten the hamstrings. That's not to say that we don't strengthen our hamstrings. We do, but how do we do it authentically? I know everyone in some point in time in the gym somewhere, you did a deadlift, right? So we have a nice kind of bend to our knees. We'll use the ball here. Don't squeeze it. But by having a soft bend into our knees, and as you hinge forward, what do you start to feel switch on? And if you had weights, even more so with a nice neutral spine. Now, if I'm flex doing this, I'm going to feel a lot of low back. But the minute I'm here and I'm setting my tailbone back, or even going into a squat and coming back up, I'm not squeezing anything, I'm just coming down and up. But even more so with my knees being straight, if you're not sure what you feel, place your hands here. I want you to notice that you feel a definite reaction in your hamstrings when you start to hinge forward. Intuitively, that part of our body knows lengthen, or guess what? I'm going to fall on my face. Go into, like if you were to tuck your pelvis under, squeeze your glutes, and I want you to tighten the crap out of your hamstrings and your glutes. Now try to bend forward. You physically cannot do it, but yet that's what's cued in classes all the time. Once again, we have to ask ourselves, if I really want good functional hamstrings, how am I going to train them? So that lengthening in our sagittal plane is most definitely going to do it. All right, but what about doing some movement in our frontal plane? Well, a frontal plane motion can be something as being here and leaning over to the side. We think this is only as an oblique exercise, but feel the opposite hamstring as you move to the side. You're going to feel a little bit of a contraction of that hamstring in the frontal plane. Crossing my leg behind, I've already loaded up this hip, okay? I've internally rotated it, but now I want to say hello, sagittal plane, as I come down and as I come back up. The minute I'm here, or the moment I'm here, I should say, I feel my hamstring switch on, but now I'm going to start to add rotation to the movement as I touch back and as I come back in. I'm loading up the glute, but I'm also loading up the hamstring. When we are walking, we can also start adding that sagittal plane movement in walking. We can add in rotational movement as we walk. We can add that frontal plane motion in when we walk. That's all sagittal plane moving forward, but when I move side, I can add in motion here. I can add motion here, all of which is happening all the time when we're moving in our hamstrings and in our calves. But yet, again, we're always telling people shorten, shorten, shorten versus lengthen. Same thing, if I'm on the ground and I'm doing a bridge, we hear this all the time in classes, squeeze your booty, one of my least favorite terms. Why would you want to shorten your hamstrings and squeeze them? I'm already in knee flexion. And when I move up into hip extension, my hamstrings are already doing the work here. And by tightening my glutes is not going to make them better, but actually make them shorter. Using my arms to press down and lift up into my bridge and lengthen from my hips to my knees is way more efficient than asking my hamstrings here to tighten and shorten. By placing the ball underneath my tailbone, this allows me to have a little hip elevation. So now I can move into a nice lengthening of my hamstrings in a supine position. And I can actually feel, like if I really just kind of relax here, I can feel these muscles not working so hard. And again, when we look at what we're doing to our bodies, are we being kind to them? Or are we really doing stuff that just makes no sense? So even by holding my arms here, pressing my heels to the ceiling, I'm moving from knee flexion to knee extension. And just by doing this a little bit, firing up the quad, like activating my quad a little bit more, allows my hamstrings to work efficiently as well as, as they kind of work yin and yang, if you will. So this is just your core training companion, but when we think of core, let's be honest here, every time that heel hits the ground, you're activating your core. When people come to me and say, I want a six-pack, well, how much do you move and what's your diet like and what's your genetics? That is always an indication. And I find that people that are always like training for a specialty like a fitness competition or whatever, that's not reality, because you can't stay on that path forever because it's not healthy. Been there, done that. This is Leslie. I hope this gives you an idea of what those hamstrings actually do. They straighten out that knee or they extend that knee in gait, they don't flex it. So keep that in mind. Do deadlifts. All those good things allow you to have lengthened, happy hamstrings.